In this video, we're going to be building out a system inside of N8N which will pull leads, personalize messages to each of those leads, not needing anything other than their company name and their role, and their name obviously. And then it's going to be verifying them and adding them into a campaign. So this is basically going to be an end-to-end lead sourcing system that we're going to be building out live on this call. And so our goal here is to make it as automated as possible with as little human work as possible, as little intervention as possible, such that this system can basically just run, source leads for you, get tens of thousands of leads into your system for as low of a cost as possible. And we'll be using Leads Rapidly to source leads and scrape leads from Apollo. We'll be using Perplexity, Perplexity's API to personalize all of our leads. We'll be using ListKit or NeverBounce to verify the leads, and then we'll be adding the leads to an instantly campaign. And this will all be automated inside of a local hosted N8N scenario, such that we're keeping the cost down, right? We'll be able to run an infinite amount of different workflows without breaking the bank, essentially. Because if we try to do this inside of N8N, inside of their like paid cloud version, or inside of make.com or inside of Zapier, we're going to be paying hundreds of dollars a month to personalize these leads. And so the goal here is to do everything as inexpensive as possible. And so that's why we're going to be building it out this way. And so I have not built out this system before, so I don't want to just show you like the end product and show you like a nice N8N, like workflow with everything already built out, and then you're just like downloading the template and you don't even understand how it works. The goal here is to walk you through exactly how and why we're going to be doing each of these steps, to teach you how to use AI to personalize your leads and to give you prompt engineering frameworks as we go, and then to just build it out in real time so you can just follow along. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is set up a N8N scenario. And so essentially what this means is I have a video about how to local host N8N using Docker. This is going to be the easiest way to set it up. It literally takes like 5 minutes. You click a couple buttons inside of Docker, or you download Docker as a software, you click a couple buttons, and then it's ready to go. And then that way we can run as many of these as we want without breaking the bank. And so the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to click Create Workflow. And we're going to essentially be pulling our leads. So if we go back to this here, we're going to be pulling our leads from Apollo. We're going to be scraping Apollo's database. We could potentially also get this from ListKit. They have a pretty affordable lead scraping. That's what I use to verify. So when I pay like $100 a month to verify, we also get it from there. And so we're going to be essentially pulling, but for the sake of this demo, we're going to be pulling it from Apollo using something called Leads Rapidly. So you can go to Leads Rapidly, and the reason I like this is because they have an API. So let's say I put like $100 worth of credits in there, I could probably get you can get 1,000 leads for $5, which is pretty damn cheap. And so basically you'd be able to get 10,000 leads for $50 or 20,000 leads for $100. So I put $100 in there, I would be able to get 20,000 leads, which is not bad at all. And so, I could put $100 in there. I could add in the Apollo stuff in here so we can get it directly. So you can just set up an account. I've already run this once, but I'm going to show you how it works as well. And so, for context, I recorded this video yesterday. Ran into some snags with the Perplexity API, but I finally figured out what was wrong. It was just how I was setting it up in N8N. And so inside of Apollo, you're going to create a free Apollo account. And basically how Leads Rapidly works is you create all of the criteria for what you want to search for. So here we have we're going to search for all the people that are verified. They're going to have these job titles. They're going to have this many employees in the US, and we're going to search for these keywords, right? And so we're going to get this list of leads. I can do this again to show you exactly how it works. Let's say we do industry keywords and we want to target like marketing, like a marketing company. And so let's see how many, we got 55,000 this time, which is way different than if we just typed in marketing agency up here, which is really odd. But look, so we have Loft Green Marketing. These all look like pretty solid marketing companies. And so I wonder if we do this in here, marketing and advertising. So we're going to pull the leads from there. And let's say we do that. We got 34,000 leads. So that is an insane amount of leads. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to copy this URL. So I'm going to this URL, copying this, and this is what goes into Leads Rapidly. So you go to leadsrapidly.com. You create an account. I think it gives you like 100 free credits or something like that. Just pay like $5. So if you go into billing here, you can just pay like $5, get 1,000 leads, and this will be enough to test. You're going to add in that link right here, and this is what we're going to be setting up via API towards the end of this video. But it shows you all the potential leads. So just for the sake of this, I'm going to add in, maybe like 100. Let's just say, like, who cares? I'll just do like a lot of these. 400. And I'm going to click purchase. It's going to use 400 credits. I'm going to go to billing. So now what I'm going to do is, boom, I'm going to go to my transactions. You can see it's processing here. And so this was Gen 6 marketing agency. This is Gen 7 marketing agencies, and it's pulling these straight out of Apollo. So it completed. I'm going to download this file. And now that I downloaded this, so this is Gen 7 1-7-25. That feels weird. Marketing agencies, Apollo, Leads Rapidly. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Google Sheet. So let me create a new Google Sheet. I believe I actually made one of these yesterday called Leads Rapidly Sheet. Let's call it like marketing agency leads. So I'm going to find this Google Sheet that I made, but basically just create a new Google Sheet, and we'll just import this list that we downloaded into Google Sheets. So here's the Google Sheet that we created. And so this is basically just a new Google Sheet, and I just imported it. I'm going to import, this is the list that I imported, but I'm going to import a new list and append it. So you can go File, Import, you go to Upload, you take the download that we just got from Google Sheets. We're going to put it here. And then the first time I said replace current sheet, this time I'm going to say append to current sheet. I'm going to import. And it should just, because it's the same exact file, it should just add them here. But what I want to do is make sure that this first name is not there twice. Okay, so it is. So you can see I imported 477 yesterday. I imported another like 400. So now we have 885 leads in here. And so what I'm going to do is, just because this is twice, I'm going to delete this row. And so now we'll have this, and I think I can actually delete duplicates. So duplicate, remove duplicate rows. So let's see how many it will remove. 884. So we're going to remove duplicate rows, where columns to analyze. So we want to, let's figure out which column. Probably first name, last name, or probably email is going to be the most. So we're going to search column D. So we're going to say remove duplicate rows, and we're going to select column D, so the email. 52 found. That's actually a decent amount. And now what we're going to do is we're going to remove, I guess we'll just filter it out. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go, now that we have the lead list, this is going to give us a lead list to work with. And so with that being said, we're going to go to N8N. We're going to pull Google Sheets, and we're going to get rows. And so if you don't understand how to do Google Sheets verification, OAuth, it's a little bit tricky. I have a video on the channel like a couple videos back called Google OAuth in 3 minutes, and it'll teach you how to do that. And so we're going to get rows from the following file. So we're going to get rows from, okay, from the file called N8N lead personalization list, sheet 1. And we're going to filter by, we're going to make sure that the, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to filter to make sure that it's actually verified here. But for this one, because we don't want to, this is the snag that I ran into yesterday. I was trying to run 500 API calls at once on accident. And so we're going to actually call this email status first. And then inside of email status, we're only going to pull first so that we can basically just get one row and test it with one row, and then we'll change this later. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a Perplexity API call. And so we're going to create an HTTP request, and we're going to create a Perplexity API call here. So we're going to go to Perplexity. So in order to get your API key, you're going to go to perplexity.ai, create an account, and you'll find your Perplexity API key here. You're going to go to your settings. You're going to go to API, and that's where you're going to find your, you're going to add a couple credits in. I think it might give you $5 for free maybe. And then you're going to get your API keys from here. And now what you're going to do is we're going to go to Perplexity API, and this is where the API documentation is. And so inside of here is where you'll get your credits. I guess I only have 16 cents. So I'm going to have to buy some credits here. Probably because I was running so many API requests yesterday. Okay, and so here is the API. So there's only one response that we can do, and this is new. Try it. It's the chat completion. So this is like what we want. This means that we're going to send. We're going to choose our model. We're going to choose our message. We're going to get a chat completion, and this is what's in the body. And so something that I learned to make this easier is you can actually, inside of N8N, you can copy this C URL, this curl. Not sure exactly how it's called. So I'm not originally a developer, so some of this stuff here with like advanced API stuff, it's just really fascinating to me. So what you can do is you can paste in the curl command here, and what it will do is if you click import, it will import what you need to do. So we don't have to fill all of this out ourselves. We get the post request, we get the chat completion, we get the authorization and the bearer token. And so if you just import the C URL, it will just fill it out automatically. So we could have done this by ourselves, post request, we grab the URL. But if you understand how to create API requests, you won't need to do this, but basically we're just grabbing this API URL from here. We're doing the chat completion, and then we're grabbing our API token here. So let me grab my API token. I'm going to trash these after this video, but we're going to put these in here, and we're going to just test this out and see if this API works just with the default CURL command that they gave us. And so it says max tokens should be a valid integer, and so let's just say like 4080, and then test step. And then boom. All right, so we got a response, and this what the question that it defaulted to is be precise and concise. How many stars are there in the Milky Way galaxy? And then it gave us this content here, and it gave us some citations, so on and so forth. And so the next thing that we want to do here is we actually want to change the content of this. So we're going to change this to just to research the person. So what we're going to do is actually delete the content of this user message. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag in some of these things. So what we want is we want their first name, the role, and then the company. So we're going to say like Anna Gavrilos, co-founder, head of marketing strategy and operations at Lighthouse Agency. And if we add this in here, we're going to get some solid data on this person. So we're going to add this in here. And so we're going to drag it and see if that worked. It did not work. It dragged it to the bottom. So make sure it's in the user message. So we're going to do full name, title, and then we're going to say the word at, and then we're going to use their company name, at this company name. So now we're going to test this step with the new data. And based on the Google Sheets data that we put in, there's no information. So it looks like we didn't actually find this. So let's see what the input is that we created. Okay, so I think we can view this. Anna Galvarello is co-founder, head of marketing at this place. So it's not going to work every time, but that's really interesting that it didn't find anything on this person. So something we could potentially do is clean up the name of this, because co-founder, head of marketing, strategy, and operations is very long. But let's test this out with a couple different people and see if it works. So let's change this to verified, and then actually, I mean, if it didn't work, let's just delete this person. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say this one's the first one now. And so co-founder at Pillar Digital. Let's just run this scenario, and it should pick up, because we're filtering by the one that includes only the word first, we should just run it with this person. So I'm going to click save, and I'm going to test workflow. So let's see what the response was now. There's no information available. So this is really interesting, because this was giving me different responses yesterday. And so I'm thinking that maybe, oh, okay, so it's giving us, all right, so inside of the CURL that we imported, it's putting specific URLs in here. So I think what we need to do actually is fixed expression. Let's recreate this here. And it looks like, where are these links coming from? Lighthouse Insurance. Okay, so let's go back here. Oh, I guess we accidentally hard-coded this in, so that's why that didn't work. So we're going to say full name, title, and then at company name. And so I'm very curious where these citations came from. I wonder if that's because we hard-coded it in. But now let's test it and see if it works with this person. Mark Cogni is a co-founder, which is based in New York, including website design and internet services. So it didn't give us a very large response. So what we need to do here is figure out how do we actually increase the total response here. So we have return images false, return related questions false, search recency filter month. I don't know if we need that. And then search domain filter Perplexity AI. So maybe, what if we remove this max tokens and then see what happens? So I just Command X that. Boom. Okay, now we have way more information. That's plenty of information. So you can see this approach involves creating comprehensive authoritative content that serve as the foundation for related smaller content. So I wonder what would happen if we change the prompt to give me information about this person who is a co-founder, etc. at this. So let's see if that changes the output. I couldn't find information. So maybe if we don't do that. So you can see here, the output was pretty solid when we just put full name, then title, at company. And so the next thing we want to do here is we're going to want to take the information that we just got. We're going to want to, likely what we're going to do is add in an OpenAI module or some sort of AI module. So what we need to think about is the cost of this. So if it costs a cent to run this every single time, we want to make sure that we want to keep this as cheap as possible. So we're going to think about what are the cheapest models. So price of different let's actually look it up on Perplexity. Price of different AI models per for a message that is, I wonder how many characters this is. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, 100 characters. That is 100 characters long. Because that's going to be like first name, last name, etc. Actually, it's going to be a lot longer than 100 characters. It's going to be something like, let me rewrite this, edit query. That is 100 words long. Because that's going to be the output of the Perplexity module, is going to be the input into this model. So typically a token is about equal to 3/4 of a word. Therefore, 100 words is approximately 133 tokens. We'll assume an average of 5 characters per word. Here's a comparison of 100. So GPT-4 Turbo is 0.001. So you could run it 100 times and it will cost you a cent. That's pretty crazy. A cent per 1,000 tokens. 0.008 cents. Anthropic is going to be also super cheap. Gemini. So likely what we're going to want to do, dang, that's Cohere's command. What even is Cohere's command? So this is actually a lot cheaper than I thought. I thought it was going to charge us maybe like a cent or a couple cents, but it looks like it's going to charge us 100th of a cent because RAG at scale. This is actually really interesting, and I'm probably going to do some research and maybe create a video about this. Put this into the saved stuff. All right, so I think for the sake of this video, we'll either do Claude or GPT-4. I personally like Claude a lot better, so let's just build it out inside of Claude. So how about compare token price of Claude's 3.5 Sonnet to 3 Opus to GPT-4o to GPT-4o mini. Okay, so I want to see the differences in these prices. $3 per million, 15 per million, 15 per million, 75. So Opus is considerably more expensive than Sonnet. 2.5 per million, 10. So GPT-4o is cheaper than all of them. 15 cents. So GPT-4o mini is crazy cheap. So potentially we would want to do this per million tokens. That seems really low. But let's just use GPT-4o mini because our goal here is we're doing very little. We're not asking it to do very advanced personalization. We're just giving it like a couple paragraphs and having it personalized. So what we're going to want to do is an OpenAI module, chat module. We're going to create a new credentials. I'm going to have to go and grab my OpenAI API key. You can find this OpenAI API key at openai.com/API or just look it up in Google. And so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be customizing this, but just to give you a sense of what this is going to look like, we're going to be creating this module. So it's a basic LLM chain. I don't know if that's right, actually. We might have to use the other OpenAI module. This is really weird that it created all of these. It's trying to have us create like an agent or something. So OpenAI, okay, this actually looks more like it. Message and assistant, message a model. So I'm going to create this and then the model. From list. So I think I need to add in my API key here. So we're going to message a model. Let me grab my OpenAI API key. Make sure I add a task to remove OpenAI and Perplexity API keys exposed in video. Gotta be careful. So I'm gonna log in here. Continue with Google. You're seeing all my Google accounts. But hey, if you want to work together, send me an email. Okay, so we're gonna go to dashboard. We're gonna find the API keys here. So we're gonna create a new one. We're gonna create a new one for N8N personalization test video N8N personalization. If I see a bunch of credits on this, I'm gonna know what it's from. Nah, I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm gonna add the API key. How do I name this? Okay, OpenAI account. I feel like there should be a way to name this. Oh, it's up here. Duh. All right, test video remove later. And so this is the video. Now what we're going to do is we're going to choose a model, and what did we find out? We want to use 4.0 mini, right? 4.0 mini. So we're going to use GPT 4.0 mini, and then we're going to do a system response. You are an intelligent email. You are a professional email, cold email copywriter. Your objective is to write highly personalized email openers using the information you're given. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a user message. And so the user message is create a personalized email opener using the following summary of this person. So we're going to refine this, and then we're going to say summary. We're going to refine this, but for now I just want to see what the default is. So the summary is right here. And we're going to add some quotes around this so it knows. All right, so now that we've done that, we'll want to output the content as JSON. Probably. So we're going to test this step. It's fascinating to learn about your experience in pillar-based digital marketing strategies. Your approach to transforming complexity into engaging authoritative content must be incredibly valuable. So it's just way too broad. I'd love to hear more about. All right, and so we're going to add in some formatting guidelines here. Our formatting guidelines are going to be keep it under 20 words. We'll start with that, and then we're gonna say a tone of voice. Write your output in a stoic and professional tone of voice. Let's test this out and see what the response is. Your expertise, and then we're going to say formatting guidelines. Be highly craft a unique message that is specific. And so you can start to see what some of the prompt engineering looks like. What we're going to do next is we're going to add an assistant, and we're going to actually add an example of what the output should look like, so we can kind of start training the model here. Okay, so let's keep refining this AI prompt. So we want it to be we want it to be stoic and casual, no fancy language. So we can say like formatting guidelines, right? Your stoic and casual tone. I think that will give us a solid one. And maybe we want to output it. So this is the opener. Maybe we want to output it in JSON just so that we can train it a little bit better. But let's say guidelines. Find any plausible connection wherever possible. Then we could say like end the icebreaker with the one-line phrase. Figure I'd reach out. Thought I'd reach out. And then after that, we'll do something like don't use overly excited tones of voice with exclamation points, and then default to starting with the format. Yeah, now let's train it. So let's like give it an actual example of how we want it to respond. So we'll give it something like example is going to be, so we're going to want to put this in here. Can we make this larger? What is this? Oh yeah, this is way better. So then we're going to do something like example, hey Amy, and then dash new, love the work, love the mission, love your mission. I don't love that. It could be something like can deeply relate to your mission of building a calm company culture and focusing on passion that you posted about. Thought I'd reach out. And then we're giving it the summary of content here. And then for the next one, it's an assistant message, and it's going to be something like or maybe we want to give it like the actual potential context. So the assistant message is going to be something like, we're going to give it some JSON. It's going to say your response will be something like this. Icebreaker. Let's see what that outputs now. Icebreaker, boom. Find your approach to pillar-based marketing quite intriguing, especially in simplifying complex topics for tech companies. Thought I'd reach out. That seems pretty solid, actually. So now that we have a solid AI schema here, what we're going to do now is, now that we have the Perplexity API request, we have the personalization using OpenAI 4.0 mini. That's what we use, right? 4.0 mini. And then basically what we want to do is verify these leads now. So personally, I am using ListKit right now to verify because of how cheap they are. I don't know, they don't have an API, so I don't think that we can do this automatically. I know that they have like a Zap. Paste email list. File upload. So I think for now what I'm just going to do is upload these files. I'm going to personalize all of them and then upload them here. But what we could do is, I'm pretty sure there's something called Never Bounce. There's a couple different ones that have APIs where we could actually just verify them here. So Never Bounce is a good one by Zoom Info. So what they do is, or what their pricing is let's say price per email 50,000. So automated, clean your list every single day, pay as you go. How many emails do you have? Let's say 20,000 per month. So it would cost us $100. Still kind of a lot, whereas I'm paying $100 to get 50,000 from ListKit, and it's really solid. So let's just say we want to then add these to instantly. And so the next step is going to be see if there's an instantly node. There's not an instantly node inside of N8N. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to connect to Instantly, and we can essentially just do the verification inside of Instantly. So let's look at Instantly's API before I show you my actual campaigns. So we're going to look at the Instantly API documentation here. Let's see what type of API calls we can create. So we have getting, setting, adding accounts, getting campaign summaries. That's going to be an interesting one. Definitely going to create a video on how to get like automated campaign summaries. Let me add that over here. Add video idea of creating campaign summaries monthly using Instantly API. Okay, so add leads to a campaign. That's what we're looking for. This is the curl. All right, so let's create this inside of Instantly. So I'm going to add this. We're going to create a new HTTP request. And then we're going to import curl. And now we have this API request here. We have the API key. It looks like they want the API key here, which is really interesting. The campaign ID, the email, the leads. So the leads, looks like we can add multiple, but we're only going to want to add one here. So we're going to want to add this. So these are the leads. So the lead we'll get from Google Sheets. Add that to the end. So something we need to think about is how do we actually, so we're going to add this email in here. First name, last name, company name. I don't think we'll actually need that, but let's put it in anyway. Personalization. Personalization is going to be the output of the OpenAI module. We don't want their phone number, their website. Do we want their website? Why not? No, we don't need that. Custom variables. We're adding in the personalization section our AI, so we don't need that. All right, so this is the lead that we're going to be adding to Instantly. I need to go grab my Instantly API key. So let me go and grab my Instantly API key. Okay, so I got the API key here. Now we need the campaign ID. So what I actually need to do here is create another API request and actually getting the campaign ID. So getting a campaign name, getting campaign accounts. I imagine that the get campaign name, list campaigns. Yeah, that's what we're going to need. So let's grab this API call in here. Let's add an HTTP request. Import curl. So this is going to give us our campaign list. This is where we want to put the API key in. So I'll grab that from the last request here. Okay, so I'm going to add the API key in, skip 0, limit 20. So let's test this out. Let's see if it works. It's to be valid JSON. So it's a GET request. I don't think we need the JSON. Saying this is not valid JSON. Alright, so this probably has something to do with this. Alright, so something that we could do here instead is we could just query parameters API string. Error running HTTP request 1. Is that, oh, okay, so that's the last one. So when I'm testing step, I'm testing all of them. So is there a way for me to just run only this one? No, there's not. Okay, so this says it's not valid JSON. And so what I'm going to do is actually, what's this power button? Deactivated. Let's test this now. Node executed successfully. Where's the data though? So we're getting the campaign lists. So maybe we need to add these parameters back in. So let me import the curl again. List campaigns. Let me grab my API key. Import. Grab the API key from here. See if that works now. Now do 30 as the limit. I don't understand why it's not returning anything. So it's supposed to be getting a list of campaigns from my API key. Allows users to retrieve a list of campaigns associated with, used for pagination. Alright, so this one looks like, let's try and see what this is. It looks like inside of here, the request is, yeah, let's import this in and see if this works better. Import curl. So this actually wants the campaign ID. That's not what we want. So it's really weird that it's running this node successfully, but it's not returning any results. Get campaign accounts, sending accounts for a campaign. Try an API Explorer. Let's see if it lets us do it inside of here instead. So I'm going to run a request. I'm going to grab my API key. And I'm going to run it directly inside of instantly, because the only reason we're running that one is because we want to get the list of the, so run. Boom. Okay, so it looks like it worked. So let me grab this campaign ID, list kit test digital marketing agencies. Okay. And if I go back here, I can technically shut this off, turn this back on. This is going to be called add to instantly. The campaign ID is going to be this. It's probably going to tell us JSON is not correct. So let's go to ChatGPT. Recreate this, but make sure it's valid JSON. So now we're going to make sure this is valid JSON. And once we finish this, we should be in a place where our campaign pulls, it doesn't automatically pull, it grabs Google Sheets, it finds information about the person using Perplexity API, it uses OpenAI to recreate this. Let me go here. And then it adds it to an instantly campaign. So that means that the last thing that looked almost exactly the same as before. Why is this not working? It still said it's not valid JSON. So what I'm thinking is that maybe some of the information didn't get pulled in correctly. So maybe it's something within this. Rewrite this as valid JSON. So I think one of the variables that we're actually pulling in is breaking the JSON. So we might actually just need to convert it to JSON before we add it in. Yeah, it looks like we need that. Okay, so we need to convert this to JSON. So we need to add a step here. Before we add to instantly, we need to convert to JSON. Is there a convert to JSON module in here? Manual mapping. We could do it with an OpenAI module, but I would prefer to not have too many different. Let's ask ChatGPT, what's the easiest way to convert a string to JSON inside of N8N without using AI to do so? Set node or function node using JavaScript. Function node. Oh, it looks like set node. It looks like this is actually just, okay. Set node. So let's try this out. JSON.parse your JSON string here. Icebreaker. This needs to be a. We can't add in variables inside of JavaScript. Okay, so that did not work. So let's just use an API because it's actually way cheaper than we thought. Let's do that for now. So let's use OpenAI. Message a model. Let's use the cheapest possible model that we can because ideally it's a very simple task. Use like 3.5 turbo or something. And test. Oh yeah. Convert this string to a JSON string. Need to make this an expression. Oops. All right, so once we do this, it should be a JSON string now. No. Let's try this. But I don't want the new message content. All right, so Let's see what the output of this module is. Includes a message in it, which we don't want. Convert this. All right, output content as JSON. Boom. But why is it not? This is what I don't understand. Why is it not including the /NN? Include stringify this JSON. So if we do that, now the output is message. So we might just need to improve this prompt a little bit. So when we're adding it to instantly, let's use this as a hard coded to see if that's actually what the issue is. Hide mark NN. Okay, so test output. Boom. Okay, so it looks like we sent this to the campaign. Can send now 15,000 more. Boom. So that's the personalization. So ideally, you find a way to stringify this. So I think what we need to do is actually improve this this output a little bit to make sure that, see, because it shows up as /NN here. So we just need to make sure that that stays in the specific input of the next module. And so let's refer back to that. Make it an expression. Keep it as right here. Yeah. Okay, so we understand what the problem is here. So I want to move on to the next one. The next one is we want to send an API call to leads rapidly so that we can actually start these automatically. So let's say that we have like, so let's say we want to run these on a regular basis. So what we need to do is get access to the API documentation here. And this will allow us to create leads rapidly. Why is it not doing anything? So we can basically pull the lead lists automatically without having to like manually go in and actually create the lead lists. Okay, so it's not loading the API here for me. Let me just refresh this and see if that's why. So I'm just gonna take a moment here. And so while we're waiting for this to not break again, let's see if this works. There we go. Create an API token. All right, never mind. So let's create this API token. They recommend N8N. We offer webhook to provide real-time updates. So what it sounds like is we're going to send a request, and then whenever we receive the request, we're going to do something with that request. So let's actually start building this out. So we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go into the API documentation here, and we want to set up webhooks. So it's really slow. So while we're waiting, if you haven't seen the school community, for a limited time, I'm offering 60-minute one-on-one sessions with me for anyone who joins. I've started hosting bi-weekly calls where we build out systems like this live on a call, so you can like ask questions, we can dialogue like while we're building it, so you know the best strategies. We're doing AI system strategies, AI skill development, prompt engineering calls, coffee hours, Q&As, all sorts of good stuff. And we have a bunch of people in this community that are very active. You'll get kind of behind the scenes of like business strategy, and kind of the different aspects of how I'm thinking about AI. And so if you're interested in that, link is in the description. So let's see what the API, let's open this in a new tab. So this is the API documentation that does not want to load. But basically what I'm thinking about here is, we're going to probably create a separate scenario. Basically, I think how this is going to work is we're going to add a webhook in here. So like the webhook is going to be the start of this scenario. And we're going to have another scenario. So this is email personalization flow. And then what we're going to do is create a new workflow, and it's going to be like the leads sourcing flow. And what we're going to do is whenever we grab an Apollo URL, we fill out a form or we add it straight to Google Sheets. Whenever a new Apollo URL shows up, it triggers. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is this. We're going to create a really simple form using tally form. And we're basically this is going to be for our internal purposes. So we're going to create this form. It's going to be called like leads rapidly sourcing. We're going to create this, and there's going to be a link. All right, so Apollo URL, and then we're going to do an integer, number of leads to source. So I think this is really it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to grab the URL. Both of these are going to be inputs into our API call. So let's see if Tally has a native integration. Damn. That's one thing about N8N is they don't have as many native integrations as Make. So you end up having to create way more API calls, but that's all right. So do they even have an API? If not, we might need to use Typeform or some other type of form. Is it going to make me upgrade to get an API? That is BS if it does. Custom CSS workspaces, premium integrations. No, I don't think so. So let's look up Tallyform API. API, go to settings. (2FA) notifications, billing. What's new? I thought maybe it has something in here. So let's see if Tally has an API. Okay, so they have a webhook. That makes more sense. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this form that we just built. We're going to edit it. We're going to go to settings here. We're going to go to integrations. We're going to go to webhook. We're going to add a webhook inside of N8N. The webhook is going to be Boom, localhost, webhook test. Is this gonna production URL? Can you send webhooks on localhost? It's not a valid link. So I wonder if you might actually need to yeah, it's not a valid link. So it looks like maybe we can't even send webhooks to localhosted. So I think in the next video, I'm actually going to set up a N8N instance on a cloud server, because I think that will solve this for us rather than doing it fully local hosted. And so maybe what we can do instead of a webhook is we actually use a roundabout way for now. We're going to create a Google Sheets module on row added, and we're going to create a new Google Sheets, and this Google Sheet is basically just going to be a trigger for this scenario. We're going to add the tally form. So this is going to be like tally leads rapidly submissions, or I think it actually creates it automatically inside of tally. So let's just connect to Google Sheets, log into Google, create a Google Sheets integration. Tally leads sourcing submissions. Okay, so now I think it just automatically created this spreadsheet. Let's actually delete this so we're not getting confused. Move to trash. Okay, so now we're going to go lead rapidly sourcing. Is that it? Yeah. So we're going to get all of these in here. So now what's going to happen is we're going to go to N8N. We're going to find this leads rapidly sourcing, I think was what we called it. Okay, so we're going to go from sheet 1 on row added. So now let's fill out this tally form so we have some data. This is not going to be hooked up to my legit thing because you could just pay for me to do this. Okay, so let's go to Apollo. Let's go to Apollo, log in. Ideally, like, you still are just going to want to like figure out what types of leads you want to source. So this is like such little work. Like, this does not need to be automated. So let's say we only want companies that are 1 to 10, or maybe more than 10. Let's do like 10 to 20. Employees are 10 to 20, 11 to 20. We have 3.4K. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this URL, and I want to get this URL. I want to get 10 leads. So now what that's gonna do is gonna add this as a submission. Apollo 10 leads. Now if we go to N8N, fetch test event, we're going to get the URL plus 10 leads. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create an HTTP request. Damn, I guess if the response of this webhook, of this HTTP request is to a webhook, it's going to be hard if we can't get webhooks to the URL that we're creating. And so that's going to make it a little bit more challenging, but we'll figure out a solution. So we could do on new rows added as the trigger or something like that. So now we need to go to the leads rapidly API. Leads rapidly API. Didn't we have it somewhere in here? Boom. Okay, it finally loaded. Let's go. Create transaction. We're going to get the some curl, shell curl. We're going to copy this. So now whenever this workflow triggers, we're going to run an API request. Maybe it didn't let us auto import curl. Let's try libcurl. That's definitely not it. I guess we'll have to create this one manually. Or PHP. Maybe that's what it is. I think that's what it is. No, I don't think so. Yeah, so let's just create this automatically. We're going to create a post request. We're going to create a transaction, which is going to be /transactions. So what is the server? So this is the server. And then it's going to be created transaction is /transactions. Then we're going to do authorization. So we're going to create a header. I think I need my API key. Why is this not copying? This API is really slow. I do not think it's my computer. Okay, let's see if that works. Paste in the API key. Is it really just gonna paste in asterisks? It literally just copied all of the asterisks. Reset this. You have to reset it. Okay. So now the post request is going to be create a transaction, content type application-json. We're going to add a header parameter here, content type application-json. And then we need the body. So a query object, contact email verified, likely to engage. So it's literally just a URL object, it looks like. Let's look at maybe some other types here. So the body is create a transaction, the leads, the number of leads integer, the query. So it wants us to, it looks like it wants us to actually have the specific aspects of the query in here, which is really weird because we should just be able to put in a link to the Apollo, which is what they ask in the non-API version. So in order to do that, we're going to title, location, name, job titles, keywords. These are all the different attributes we can add. Sometimes APIs are weird, man. Like, why is it asking for this? Why can't we just put in the URL? We would then need to like parse out the URL into this, which would be a massive headache. So we'd see query contacts. So this is the query. So what if we just put the URL as a query? Yeah, so I'm gonna need to figure this out in another video, because how do you take the Apollo link, and technically we could create this, like technically, yeah, let's just test it out just to make sure that it works here. But basically what we could do is we could take this, there'd be a couple objects here, and so let's say like this is the object, so show schema, user ID. Okay, so we have user ID, schema, type properties, ID, user ID, leads, status description, percentage created, completed at query. So without showing the schema, let's do that. Send body, JSON, boom. Okay. Plus leads. Why did it only copy the query? The leads number. So this is going to be, we're going to add leads to 1. I think that's the successful transaction created. See if that works. I think we're going to need to put this into an array. Or no, we're going to need to create this. Let's try that out. Test step. Bad request. Expected, received, invalid type. Okay, so let's do this. Let's make sure that this is all in here. So it looks like that was executed successfully. The format is JSON, contact email status v2. Let's check what the transaction history is now. So it doesn't show any transactions yet. Let's show transactions inside of this. Okay, so a few seconds ago, we're getting 1 lead with these parameters. So as you can see, like, you could potentially just do this, and then you could just manually input all of the Apollo parameters that you wanted. Then whenever this finishes, it updates into Google Sheets, and then we're pulling it in. I'm not going to build all of this out for the sake of time, but you can kind of see how you would automate the lead sourcing from Leads Rapidly, and then the email personalization flow using these, and then we'd be adding to Instantly here, and this was just to get. So basically, we're pulling all the leads in here. We're personalizing using Perplexity. So let me just personalize Perplexity, get enrich. So basically we're enriching the data, we're personalizing, we're adding to Instantly, and the last thing that we could do is we could actually update the Google Sheets again with that personalization, but for now I'm just adding them all to Instantly because I'm just going to run through all of them. So I hope you found this video valuable. This is kind of like you're in the weeds of how to create email personalization. If you want the template to this N8N portfolio, check it out in school. Go to the classroom section, and then go into the system templates. And for any of the videos that I make, you will find the specific templates in here. So every new video that I make, I'm going to add in the JSON files for you to basically just be able to implement this directly into your business. So I hope you found that helpful. Thank you so much for watching this long all the way here to the end, and I will see you in the next video.